Hello and welcome back to Stop and Go F1 for this, our final driver ratings of the season. Now, before we get into all of this, firstly, like and subscribe, of course, but secondly, you may be able to tell from my clothes as I'm recording this on Sunday. I haven't been wearing the exact same clothes for 2 days straight. I'm recording this Sunday evening, so hopefully nothing changes from the driver order now, which means I have to record this all again. But here we are, driver ratings for one last time. If this is your first driver ratings, firstly, where the hell you been? Secondly, we will give every single driver a score between 1 and 10 for how they drove in the race. Abu Dhabi, of course, the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. And it is the end of the season now, which means very soon there'll be a video out on the channel where we will add up every score that we've been given to them all year and have a definitive rating for every single driver this season, even Nick de Vries. So there you go, that's still to come on the channel. That's worth subscribing, I'm sure you'll agree. So, right, shall we begin? And of course we start with the Williams team and Logan Sargent, who had an interesting one. Qualified dead last. He set 2 lap times, but went over track limits on both of them, so in the end set no lap times. So starting from the back of the grid, but in the end would finish P16, which is okay, I guess. The guys he beat, though, all had serious issues, really, apart from, like, maybe Zhou he beat. Wasn't great for Logan. You know, not a fantastic weekend. I'm just going to give him run-of-the-mill 5 out of 10 for Logan Sargent. Alexander Albon, though, he would qualify 14th and finish 14th. A very just average race for him as well, really. A bit better than Logan, obviously, but still nothing spectacular, especially for him who's had so many fantastic results throughout the year. 14th place, you know, that's fine. I'm just going to give him a 6. Moving to AlphaTauri now, and a tale of two halves. Daniel Ricciardo, trouble in qualifying, saw him only qualify 15th. Then in the race, he got a tear-off caught in his brake duct very early on, which massively threw out his strategy and was very much on the back foot from there. Would end up a very respectable 11th place. So overall, I'm going to give him a 7 for that. I thought that's a pretty decent performance, if I'm honest. But this man here, Yuki Tsunoda, very much the star of the show. So qualifies a fantastic 6th, his best ever qualifying position, and then would finish the race in 8th to get some great points there for the AlphaTauri team. Yuki always does seem to do well at Abu Dhabi. I think it was in 2021 he finished 4th. So another great result here for Yuki, and someone I've very much changed my opinion on throughout the year. I wasn't his biggest fan at the start of the year, but I think throughout this year he has grown and developed and done really well. I'm looking forward to seeing what he does next year when hopefully that AlphaTauri or Racing Bulls or whatever it's going to be called, hopefully that car will be a lot better. But for Yuki Tsunoda today, I've got to give him a 10 out of 10. I thought he was absolutely fantastic. Let's talk about Haas. Nico Hülkenberg, he qualified 8th, would finish in 15th. The most shocking thing of all is not Nico Hülkenberg having a good qualifying and then falling back, because that's what he always does, but it was the speed at which he fell back. He went from 8th to about 13th in 1 lap. Awful start for Hülkenberg, then didn't really just go anywhere from there. I'm going to give him a 5. Not great, not bad, just in the middle. Magnussen, he struggled a lot more than his teammates once again this weekend. Would qualify 17th and would finish dead last in 20th. Looked like his tyres were just getting cooked. I think he pitted 3 times, I think. Definitely the first to pit, like lap 6. Really is not great. Not anything to write home about. Another difficult one for him in the Haas. I'm going to give him a 4. Across to Aston Martin now. Lance Stroll qualifies 12th, finished the race in 10th, got a decent point, was fighting Lewis Hamilton quite a bit, which was quite strange to see, but there you go. At one point he found himself caught in the medley of Russell, Leclerc and Norris. But yeah, overall, okay. Gonna give him a 6. I think that's fair. For Alonso, though, he did a little bit better. Alonso qualified 7th, finished 7th. I'm going to give him a 7. I thought, that sounds pretty good, doesn't it? Across to Alfa Romeo. Zhou Guanyu qualifies 19th, finishes 17th. I'm just going to give him a 5. You see, once again, there's really not much to say about the Alfa Romeos because, once again, they weren't shown on screen. Once again, they were kind of just down there at the bottom. Bottas was shown a little bit at one point, but he went from 18th to 19th. They just left him out on his tyres to die. He was the last person to pit. Magnussen had pitted twice before Bottas pitted once. I don't know what they were thinking, but it didn't work, whatever it was. I'm going to give him a 5 as well, because, yeah, not great. Across to McLaren, though, Oscar Piastri, great qualifying performance to qualify in 3rd, but really just did not have the race pace. Lando was on him basically at the start of the race, and I think passed him on like lap 2 or something like that. From there, he was just going backwards throughout the majority of the race. Had some good battles with Russell and Alonso at one point, but overall, not fantastic, not bad, but I think due to his good qualifying, I'm going to give him a 6. His teammate, though, Lando Norris, he had a decent one. Qualifying wasn't great for him. He qualified 5th, but it could have been a lot better. He did mess up his second qualifying run in Q3. Would end up 5th as well. Seemed to have good pace at the start of the race, but that would go on, would die off really as he went on. Got a bit unlucky in terms of when Russell came out of the pits. Russell was able to get that DRS off of Stroll. Otherwise, I think Lando would have been able to get past him on the warmer tyres and maybe held him back a little bit and seen what could have happened from there. But overall, I thought Lando, decent job. 7 out of 10. To Alpine now, and my God, what is going on at Alpine? Yes, every week it's something else. Gasly once again outqualifies his teammate, qualifying 10th, but would just go backwards to 13th in the end in the race. Was the leading of the pair of Alpines, but for some reason Alpine decides to pit Ocon first and give him the undercut on his teammate. Gasly obviously does not enjoy this and complains about it, so when they go for the second pit stop, they give Gasly priority, meaning that Gasly then has the priority over Ocon on the second pit stop, but it means that Gasly's second stint was far too short and really wasted that tyre. So they screwed over both their drivers, wasted their tyres, and achieved nothing. So a 5 for Gasly, and then Ocon went from 12th to 12th. Another 5. Lots of 5s this week. And I think they'll be both very happy that this season is over. Hopefully Alpine can just get some kind of structure in place for next year, because it's a mess, that team. I don't think anyone truly knows what's going on. I think it's very clear that the number 1 driver should be Gasly. Gasly's come into this team for the first time this year, and I'm pretty sure he has now beaten Ocon in the championship. Ocon has been in this team for years, has been the head of this team for years. Gasly's come in and taken over it. Whoever is put in charge of Alpine next year should really just go, hey, why don't we favour Gasly more? Because he seems to be better at driving a Formula 1 car. That's what I would do to whoever is in charge. And Mercedes now, they have secured P2 in the Constructors. George Russell actually had a good race. Unbelievable. He had an awful year, but he's got his second podium of the year now. Qualified 4th, finished 3rd. You know what? I don't know if it's a 9 or a 10. I'm just thinking, if that was his second podium, he really just hasn't done well. Do I want to give George Russell some sympathy and give him a 10? No, I'll give him a 9. But what can I pull him down on? There isn't much. He did well in qualifying. The car was a real struggle. I'm taking it back. I'll give him a 10. that Mercedes was a struggle this weekend, and he made it work to get P3 and really secured that P2 of the constructors for Ferrari. Great job from George Russell there. Lewis Hamilton, though, struggled a lot more, out in Q2 for the second race weekend in a row, qualifying 11th. And I expected a better recovery drive from him. He did have that contact with Gasly, which meant that he had a bit of damage on his front wing, which would have taken some speed away from him. But overall, just 9th in the race. Only 2 points for the Mercedes team from Lewis Hamilton this weekend. Once again, I'm just going to give him a 5 because he was really struggling this weekend and he just was not a good one. Speaking of not a good one, it's Carlos Sainz. Awful weekend for him. Crashed in FP2, slow in FP3, out in Q1, didn't finish the race. I don't know how he didn't finish the race because he did every lap. It's quite, if you look at the results, it's quite weird because it says Carlos Sainz DNF. Then below it says that Bottas is 18th and Magnussen was 19th. So he didn't finish the race, but he still beat 2 people who finished the race, which is real Ferrari things to happen, you know? So, Carlos, it just was not good. They left him out to die on the strategy, waiting for a safety car that was never going to come. But the reason they did that is because he put himself in such a bad situation in qualifying, and he had to go for something different. So, overall, not great for Carlos, a 3 out of 10. Charles Leclerc, though, had a very good weekend. Qualified P2, finished P2. Great race weekend for him. Really played the team game in terms of trying to position Perez in the right way to try and give Mercedes less points and all this kind of stuff. I said it in my race reactions video that came out yesterday, but Leclerc, this last period of the season, has been absolutely fantastic. And I really hope that this is him kind of ironing out those mistakes that we saw him make a lot last year. I know last year we can say Ferrari let him down, and Ferrari did let him down, but he also did make a lot of mistakes. We saw him make a lot of mistakes again at the start of this year, but I think throughout this year, not only has he improved, but Ferrari as a team have improved as well. Hopefully this will continue into next year when we can see something real good from Leclerc and from Ferrari. But as for this race, it's a 10 out of 10 for Charles Leclerc. Fantastic job. Sergio Perez, interesting one for him. Only qualified P9, had a time lead due to track limits in Q3. I thought the penalty was very harsh. I don't think he deserved the penalty, if I'm honest. Had the pace to finish on the podium here, but would only settle for P4 after the penalty. Overall, I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10 for, you know, what I thought was a pretty decent race. If they hadn't given the penalty, I probably would have given him like an 8 or a 9. But yeah, the penalty was there, so I have to respect it and give him a 7. And finally, Max Verstappen qualified first, finished the race in first, basically controlled the entire race, has led over 1,000 laps. I mean, what else is there to say? It's another 10 out of 10 for Max Verstappen. Absolutely fantastic race from him yet again. Unstoppable Max Verstappen, and I would not be surprised if this continues yet again into next year. So there you go. Our stars of the race are Max Verstappen, Charles Leclerc and Yuki Tsunoda. Lowest scoring driver goes to Carlos Sainz with a 3. And let me just double check my calendar on my phone, because is it the driver ratings of the year next Friday? Yes, it is. Friday the 1st of December, right here on this channel. I'll put all the scores together that we've given the drivers throughout the year and give you the definitive ranking of every single driver of 2023. So that's to come on Friday, so subscribe for that. Until next time, though, have a great week. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.